What's up everyone, Geraint here, and today we are looking over the Codex entries. This video will be only one video for the Codex video for Mass Effect 2. And if there are some information, or if there is some information that we already looked at in Mass Effect 1, then I'm maybe not going to read it out or let it play. Because just, I mean, if you have played Mass Effect 1, then it's not really that new, probably, to you. So in that case, I will link up there or there my Codex entries for Mass Effect 1, and you can listen to that there. But let's start with the secondary Codex entries. Let's start with the Alien Council races. But before we start, I just wanted to mention that this video is made after I have finished Mass Effect 2. So this Codex entry, or the Codex entries in here, are after all the DLCs and the suicide mission and everything. So I'm not sure where I put this video. I maybe put it maybe before the last video that I do, so that the Codex is not the last video, but we will see. Maybe I put it last. I'm not sure yet. So yeah, let's start with the secondary. Aliens Council races. Asari Ardak Yakshi. So I think that's one pretty new. Ardak Yakshi, Demon of the Night Winds, are Asari suffering from a genetic disorder preventing conventional melding of nervous systems during mating. Instead, Ardak Yakshi electromechanically ravage their partner's nervous system, in extreme cases leaving victims as vegetable invalids or corpses. Asari physiologists regard this incapacity for mental fusion as preventing the development of empathy, leading to psychopathy. There is no known cure. The disorder generally begins in infancy, reaching full pathology during maiden adolescent sexual development. While seductive and sexually driven as other Asari, Ardak Yakshi are congenitally sterile. Ancient Asari mythology held Ardak Yakshi as gods of destruction, depicting them as villains of countless legend and as the anti-hero of numerous Asari epics. Contrary to popular belief, Ardak Yakshi are neither extremely rare, around 1% of Asari dwell on the AI spectrum, so Ardak Yakshi, I would say. Does that mean? Nor are they all murderers. Most cultivate and discard countless exploitative or abusive relationships during their legally marginal lives. Despite rumors of Ardak Yakshi syndicates, by nature Ardak Yakshi are incapable of long-term cooperation. As a disproportionately wealthy species, Asari employ their economic reach and media ownership to hide the Ardak Yakshi pathology from the galactic community, placing most Ardak Yakshi in monitored work programs or seclusion. Only the most aggressive cases are sentenced to sanitaria and prisons, or to the execution list of justicars. Wow. Okay. Asari Biology. Okay, I think we can skip that one. That's pretty much the same as in Mass Effect 1. So if you want to read about that, check out the other video that I did for Mass Effect 1. Asari Culture, probably the same. We already heard that one. Government. Okay, let's do government. I'm not sure about the government. The Asari came late to the concept of world government. For centuries, their homeworld of Tessia was dotted with loose confederations of great republican cities. The closest Earth equivalent. Oh, I think we heard that too in Mass Effect 1, but I will read it anyways. Since the Asari culture values consensus and accommodation, there was little impetus to form larger principalities. Rather than hoard resources, the Asari bartered freely. Rather than attack one another over differing philosophies, they sought to understand one another. Only in the information age did the city-states grow close. Communication over internet evolved into an electronic democracy. Asari have no politicians or elections, but a freewheeling, all-inclusive legislature that citizens can participate in at will. Policy debates take place at all hours of the day in official chat rooms and forums moderated by specifically programmed virtual intelligence. All aspects of policy are open to plebiscite at any time. In any given debate, the Asari tend to lend the most credence to the opinions of any matriarchs present, nearly always deferring to the experience of these millennia-old wise women. Achieving consensus through public debate may take too long in a crisis. In cases where prompt, decisive action is required, Asari defer to the wisdom of local matriarchs. Asari Justicars, that's pretty new, I would say. Despite the refinement and sophistication of Asari culture, criminality remains a fact of life. The Asari solution to the most vicious and destructive criminal element is the Justicar Order. Justicars are an Asari class of virtually untouchable extrajudicial executioners operating almost exclusively within Asari territory. In the last decade alone, Justicars have smashed dozens of criminal rings inside Asari territory, operated by Asari and non-Asari alike. The methods range from subtle where possible to brutal where necessary. Trained for extreme strength, biotic capacity, resourcefulness, asceticism, and ruthlessness, the fanatical Justicars are romanticized and feared throughout Asari society. Although Justicars generally work alone, the effectiveness arises from the huge body of knowledge they can access. Any Asari who enters the ranks of Justicars has already spent centuries in a combination of criminal investigation, military intelligence, and combat experience. The collective body of Justicar knowledge exceeds even that of the Spectres. Oh, that's interesting. Justicars tend to be independent, requiring little help, but also scorning it since such advanced skill and experience usually travels with a powerful ego. The conflicts presented by such arrogance prompted the Justicar Order to develop the Oath of Subsumation. The oath pledged protection of the innocent, the punishment of the guilty, and defense of common law and the norms of Asari society. The effect of the oath is conservative, ensuring that Justicars respect the existing distribution of Asari power rather than staging a coup to rearrange society according to Justicar satisfaction. Nevertheless, the possibility of such an attack is a source of anxiety and counterintelligence among the Asari elite. Of all the pledges, the third oath of subsumation is sworn the least of any of the oath, requiring a Justicar to swear loyalty that overrides the dictates of even the Justicar code. The third oath is usually invoked in matters where even the black or white thinking of Justicars is forced to concede the existence of grey. So that's basically what Samara did when she joined us on the Normandy. That's like the third oath. So, yeah. Interesting. Also got some water with me. Asari military doctrine. I think we had that one. I think we had that one. Sorry if we have that, if I skipped that, but I think we had that one. Asari religion. Okay, let's get that. The pantheistic mainstream Asari religion is Siari, which translates roughly as all is one. The faithful agree on certain core truth. The universe is a consciousness, every life within it is an aspect of the greater whole, and death is a merging of one's spiritual energy back into the greater universal consciousness. Siarists don't specifically believe in reincarnation, they believe that spiritual energy returned to the universal consciousness upon death will eventually be used to fill new mortal vessels. The more I read it, the more I think I already read the Mass Effect one. Siari became popular after the Asari left their homeworld and discovered the ability to meld with nearly any form of life. This ability is seen as proof that all life is fundamentally similar. Siari priests see their role as promoting unity between the disparate shards of the universe awareness. Before the rise of Siari pantheism, Asari religions were as diverse as the political opinions. The strongest survivor of those days is the monotheistic religion worshipping the goddess Athame. Like the Asari, the goddess circles through the triple aspects of maiden, matron, and matriarch. Salarians. I think we we got that one, so... Solarian culture, I'm pretty sure we got that too. Solarian government. I think we got that too. League of One. I'm not so sure, I'm pretty sure we had that also in Mass Effect 1 with the League of One medallions. And we got a visitor. Hey cat. I think we got that too. Military doctrine, I'm pretty sure we got that too. Let's take special task group. I'm not sure we did that, but let's take that one. I'm pretty sure most of the secondary codex entries are the same as Mass Effect 1, just with a little bit detail changed around. So, Solarian Intelligence Field Agents are grouped into an organization called the Special Task Groups. STG operators work in independent cells, performing dangerous missions such as counterterrorism, infiltration, reconnaissance, assassination, and sabotage. The STG is a proactive organization, puncturing worrisome trends before they become movements. At any time, a dozen groups are operating covertly within the lawless terminus systems, sowing dissent among the various factions. Civilian analysts also note how troublesome hinge point individuals in terminus frequency meet unexpected deaths. STG operators are feared throughout the galaxy for their clear-eyed, remorseless practicality. They are willing to do whatever it takes to achieve their mission, even if it kills civilians or results in the team's own destruction. In many ways, they are akin to the Council Spectres. Recently, a number of STG cells have been redeployed from Solarian Union. It is assumed they are in the Terminus and Attican Traverse, investigating reports of Geth activity beyond the Perseus Veil. Okay, let's... okay, we got that one. Turians, I'm pretty sure we got that too. Turian culture, I'm pretty sure. Turian government. Turian military, I'm pretty sure too. Religion... Not so sure if we did religion, but let's do religion. Although Turians have a strict moral code, their belief in individual responsibility means that the concept of good and evil are simply the individual's choice between egotism and altruism in any given decision. They have no concept of good deities and encourage noble behavior or evil ones that tempt individuals to misdeeds. Turians believe that groups and areas have spirits that transcend the individual. For example, a military unit would be considered to have a literal spirit that embodies the honor and courage it has displayed. A city spirit reflects the accomplishments and industry of its residents. An ancient tree spirit reflects the beauty and tranquility of the area it grows within. These spirits are neither good or evil, nor are they appealed for to intercession. Turians do not believe spirits can affect the world, but spirits can inspire the living. Prayers and rituals allow an individual to converse with a spirit for guidance or inspiration. For example, a Turian who finds his loyalty tested may appeal to the spirits of his unit, hoping to reconnect with the pride and honor of the group. A Turian who wishes to... Sorry, my cat is in the screen. A Turian who wishes to create a work of art may attempt to connect with the spirit of a beautiful location. Turians enjoy absolute freedom of religion and can practice whatever appeals to them. To them, as long as it does not impede anyone's ability to perform their duties. There are many practitioners of the Asari philosophy. Oh, interesting. Since opening dialogue with the Human System Alliance, some Turians have embraced Confucianism and Zen Buddhism. Oh, that's interesting. Turians Unification War. Yeah. Aliens. Prothean Beacon, pretty sure we got that one. Prothean Cipher, pretty sure we got that too. Prothean Data Disk. I think we got that too in Mass Effect 1, but let me quickly read over it. Yeah, let's do that. Protheans data disk. Despite all the evidence confirming the existence of the Protheans, little is known about their culture and society. From time to time, dig sites will yield new clues, but after 50,000 years of decay, little of value is unearthed. Recent research has focused on the discovery of Prothean data disks. On their own, they are frail and rarely found in one piece. Occasionally, however, an intact disk will be discovered within a console or reading device. To date, over 3,000 disks have been recovered, and a few of those have been restored to the point where researchers can begin analyzing them. Though it may be some time before scientists discover a way to transfer the data of the disk, they are currently considered the most tangible leads for learning. Oh god, my cat, I tell you. He is really getting on my nerves currently. Though it may be some time before scientists discover a way to transfer the data of the disks, they are currently considered the most tangible leads of learning more about the Prothean culture. Mars ruins, I'm pretty sure we had that one. Ragni, I think we got that too. Oh, okay, that's pretty sure we didn't have collectors in trial and stuff, so let's focus on that. Collectors, Collector General. Cerberus xenobiologists believed until recently that the collectors were coordinated by a biotically active caste similar to the insectoid alien species. New evidence suggests the collectors have a singular commander, a so-called Collector General, that has never been seen on the battlefield. Instead, it selects its minion as remote platform for its consciousness in a process that has been likened to a biological hack or a cybernetic version of demonic possession. The Collector General can send a secure signal to any one of its minions, smoothly take control of their motor functions, and awaken their previously dormant biotic potential. In a matter of seconds, even the lowliest Collector Zone can be upgraded to a battle-hardened biotic commander, so that's the Harbinger thing. If the Collector dies, the channel can simply activate and control another body. Yeah, we saw that one. Post-mortem analysis reveals that this command signal relies on cybernetic implants directly installed in the Collector's cerebellums. But how the technology functions is presently unknown. Coordinating sensory input and motor functions simultaneous with remotely amplifying biotic abilities is beyond the grasp of current human science. Why such an advanced species would be interested in humans is puzzling. More disturbing still, victims of the Collector say the General has spoken to them and referred to itself by human name, Harbinger. I think at this point, we know that even the Collector General was controlled by a Reaper called Harbinger. Like the Reaper we met in Mass Effect 1 that's called Sovereign. Or what did Legion say? Something. Nazara. Yeah, Nazara. So I would say the Collector General was controlled by the Reaper, and by that he could control even the other collectors or Protheans in that case. Harbinger, maybe we get that information now. So, while monitoring outgoing transmissions sent by the mysterious leader of the Collectors to his minions on the battlefield, Cerberus intelligence experts also intercepted incoming transmissions. The signals were encrypted commands sent to the Collector Channel from a source outside the galaxy. There we go. This directing intelligence is likely the Reaper that refers to as Harbinger. Okay, well, now we know it for sure. This indicates that the Collector Channel, previously thought as a puppeteer-like figure, was essentially mere contact through which Javelin mobilized the Collector's mission to protect and nurture an embryonic Reaper by providing it a steady supply of humans. In this way, the Collectors allowed the Proto-Reaper to incorporate the human genome into its own construction, though why a Reaper would want such a thing is still unclear. So now, okay, we got the info now. Drell. Drella omnivorous. Sorry if my English is bad, it's not my mother language, so if I spell something not right, then forgive me. Reptile-like humanoids with an average lifespan of 85 galactic centuries. Oh, I didn't know that. That's new information. They give little birth to their young. Oh, they give life birth. Sorry, they give life birth to the young, who are capable of eating solid food from the moment they are born. Trial appearance is very similar to Asari and humans, but their muscle tissue is slightly denser than that of humans, giving them a eerie strength. Many of their more reptilian features are concealed, like a 3-chambered heart with a muscular ridge that is capable of shunting oxygenated or deoxygenated blood as needed. God, that English is hard. One unique characteristic, however, is the hyoid bone in their throats, which allows them to inflate their throats and produce vocal sounds outside of the human range. Oh, I didn't know that one. Would-be assassins have noted that these two features make Drell extremely hard to strangle or suffocate. Oh, that's interesting. Because the Drell ancestors emerged from arid rocky deserts, the humid ocean-covered Hana homeworld of Kaji proved tolerable only when the Drell stayed inside a climate-controlled dome city. Due to this huge disparity in the two species' homeworld environment, the leading cause of death among Drells and Kaji is a bacterial lung disease called Cabral syndrome, so the same thing that Thane has. Within a generation of the Drell's arrival on the planet, the disease had become resistant to Hana antibiotics and other advanced treatments. Once an infection settles in, death is slow but imminent. Transplants may buy time, but as the infection spreads to other major organs, there comes a point of diminishing returns and eventual system failure. So it will be interesting if, I'm spreading away now from the topic, but it will be interesting if we see squad mates from Mass Effect 2 in Mass Effect 3. I hope so, but it's not clear if we get to interact with them. As we have seen, we couldn't really interact much with Liara except for the DLC and some dialogue. So maybe we will see some of our Mass Effect 2 squad mates, and I'm interested to see if Thane is still alive in Mass Effect 3. Drell culture. 8 centuries ago, the already arid Drell homeworld, Rakana, began its swift descent into lifelessness due to disastrous industrial expansion. Because their population was bursting at 11 billion, and they did not possess interstellar flight capacity, the Drell would have been doomed without the intervention of the Hanar. Following first contact, the Hanar spent 10 years transporting 375,000 willing Drell to their own homeworld Kaji. The remaining billions perished in the dying world, warring against each other for diminishing resources of water and food. Today, only a few thousand survive on Rakana, in clusters never exceeding a few hundred. Now a cemetery world, Rakana's population can double during pilgrimage seasons. So they are nearly extinct then, I would say. Drell have been part of the galactic community for almost 2 centuries. Most reside on Kaji, content to coexist with the Hanar. Those who leave Kaji tend to be adventurers, gifted by the Hanar with acute perception of interspecies body language. Solitary Drell travelers often seek out new species elsewhere, adopting that species' culture and rarely returning to Kaji. Such Drell number in the thousands and are scattered across the galaxy, tending towards quiet, integrated lives. Oh, that's interesting. On Kaji, the Hanar afforded the Drell every opportunity to thrive, while outsiders and even some Hanar regard the Drell as junior partners, if not actual servants. Drell have integrated themselves into every level of Hanar society as respective productive citizens. Okay. Geth armatures. I think we had that in Mass Effect 1, I think. Geth culture. I think we got that too, maybe? Yeah. Heretics is, I'm pretty sure, new. Conversations with the Geth programs dubbed Legion have brought to light a profound schism in the Geth society. When Saren and Terius approached the Geth in the Dreadnought Sovereign, some of them chose to follow him, most did not. Saren's followers were allowed to leave Geth society, but were dubbed heretics by those that remained. This revelation implies several things. First, the majority of Geth chose not to attack organic society. Second, the Geth forces, the Council and the Alliance fleets have battered the last 2 years represent only a small portion of the actual military and economic power, perhaps as little as 5% of mainstream Geth society. Third, this schism suggests that individual Geth possess more free will and perhaps even personality than previously suspected. With such individuality, no Geth could have deviated from the group decision to join or reject Saren's mission. There could not have been a division. Finally, there's the matter of Legion's word choice. The Geth used the English word heretics to describe Saren's followers. Of the many words Legion could have chosen, non-conformists, dissenters, rebels, etc., only the word heretic suggests a broadly accepted Geth philosophy or religion, and that the actions of Saren allies violated orthodoxy. Oh, that's interesting indeed. Okay, let's continue with Geth technology. The most difficult aspect of Geth existence for organics to comprehend is that the body is meaningless to Geth. The biped form, commonly perceived as a Geth, is nothing more than a mobile platform. A Geth software, hundreds of programs whose interactions mimic organic consciousness, can be installed in any given hardware. The Geth that was a bipedal soldier an hour ago may now be a quadrupled heavy armature and in another hour might be a starship. Between tasks, Geth programs upload to gigantic space station mainframes that allow billions of programs to exchange thoughts and memories with minimal lag. The claim that the Geth are an example of the extreme risk posed by AI development is misleading. As opposed to the top-down design of organic created AIs, in which hardware and software are specifically designed to achieve consciousness, Geth are a bottom-up model. They were never intended to possess more than animal-level trainable reasoning. Designed as VI-driven robots, not significantly different from modern security mechs, Geth consciousness developed as their adaptive learning programs interacted with one another via network processing. The Geth code base discovered that 3 individual robots using a wireless local network to form a single mind could perform many tasks more efficiently than they could as individuals. As these local networks were more heavily exploited, they reached a critical mass of processing, achieving consciousness. Modern Geth retain this remarkable interconnectivity, constantly exchanging data with one another and networking to increase their cognitive abilities. To Geth, these mind-sharing abilities are as natural and unconscious as breathing is to most organics. So I think we know about the Keepers already. We also know about the Krogan. We might have to really check this real quick. I think we already know the Blood Rage 2. Pretty sure we have Culture 2. But let's do Culture, Genophage, and Krogan Rebellions and everything. The harsh Krogan homeworld conditioned the Krogan physiology for toughness just as it did the body. Krogan have always had a tendency to be selfish, unsympathetic, and blunt. They respect strength and self-reliance and are neither surprised nor offended by treachery. The weak and selfless do not live long. In their culture, looking out for number one is simply a matter of course. After the defeat in the rebellions, the very concept of Krogan leadership was discredited. Where a warlord could once command enough power to bring entire solar systems to heel and become overlord, these days it is rare for a single leader to have more than 1,000 warriors swear allegiance to him. Most Krogan trust and serve no one but themselves. This solitary attitude stems in part from a deep sense of fatalism and futility, a profound social aspect of the genophage that caused Krogan numbers to dwindle in a relative handful. Not only are they angry that the entire galaxy seems out to get them, the Krogan are also generally pessimistic about their race's chances of survival. The surviving Krogan see no point to building for the future. There will be no future. The Krogan live with an attitude of kill, pillage, and be selfish, for tomorrow we die. Krogan Genophage. The Genophage bioweapon was created to end the Krogan Rebellions. From the start, the Krogan had overwhelmed the Council. Only timely first contact with the Turians saved the Council races. The Turians fought the Krogan to a standstill, but sheer weight of Krogan numbers indicated the war could not be won through conventional means. The Turians collaborated with the Salarians to genetically engineer a counter to the rapid breeding of the Krogan. The genophage virus gained the energy to replicate by eating key genetic sequences. Every cell in every Krogan had to be altered for the weapon to be foolproof. Otherwise, the Krogan could have used gene therapy to fix the affected tissues. Once the genophage strain could find no more genes to eat, it would starve and die, limiting spin-off mutation and contamination. This created genetic flaw is hereditary. The Solarians believed the genophage would be used as a deterrent, a position the Turians viewed as naive. Once the project was complete, the Turians mass-produced and deployed it. The Krogan homeworld, the colonies, and all occupied worlds were infected. The resulting mutation made only 1 in 1,000 Krogan pregnancies carry to term. It did not reduce fertility, but offspring viability. The rare females able to carry children to term became prizes the Krogan warlords fought brutal battles over. The Krogan are a shadow of their former glory. While the rebellions took place centuries ago, they are constantly reminded of the horror of the genophage and of their inability to counter it. The release of the genophage is still controversial, bitterly debated in many circles. Krogan Rebellions. After the Ragnar War, the quick-breeding Krogan expanded at the expense of their neighbors. Warlords leveraged their veteran soldiers to seize living space, while the council races were still grateful. Over centuries, the Krogan conquered world after world. There was always just one more needed. When the council finally demanded withdrawal from the Asari colony Lucia, Krogan overlord Kredak stormed off the citadel, daring the council to take their worlds back. But the council had taken precautions. The finest STG operators and Asari huntresses had been drafted into a covert observation force, the Office of Special Tactics and Reconnaissance. The Spectres opened the war with the crippling strategic strikes. Krogan planets went dark as computer viruses flooded the extranet. Sabotage antimatter refineries disappeared in blue-white annihilation. Headquarters stations shattered into orbit, clogging debris rammed by pre-placed suicide freighters. Still, this only delayed the inevitable. The war would have been lost if not for first contact with the Turians, who responded to Krogan threats with a prompt declaration of war. Being on the far side of Krogan space from the Council, the Turians advanced rapidly into the lightly defended Krogan rear areas. The Krogan responded by dropping space stations and asteroids on Turian colonies. 3 worlds were rendered completely uninhabitable. This was precisely the wrong approach to take with the Turians. Each is first and foremost a public servant, willing to risk his life to protect his comrades. Rather than increasing public war wariness, Krogan tactics stiffed Turian resolve. The arrival of Turian task forces saved many worlds from the warlords' marauding fleets, but it took development of the genophage bioweapon to end the war. There were decades of unrest afterwards. Rogue warlords and holdout groups of insurgents refused to surrender or disappeared into the frontier systems to become pirates. I think that one is also from the original game, so I'm not gonna go over it. I think we also had the Quarians. Law and Defense, I'm pretty sure, is new, so we go over that. All through the Conclave establishes civil law, much as any planet-based democracy. Enforcement and trials are more unique. After the flight from the Geth, there were few constables to police the millions of civilians aboard the fleet, so the Navy parceled out Marine Squad to maintain order and enforce the law. Today, Quarian Marines have evolved training and tactics akin to civilian police, but remain adept at combat in the confined spaces of a starship and fully under the command of the military. Once taken into custody, the accused is brought before the ship's captain for judgment. While the ship's council may make recommendations, traditions hold that the captain has absolute authority in matters of discipline. Most are lenient, assigning additional or more odious maintenance tasks aboard the ship. Persistent recidivists are accidentally left on the next habitable world. This practice of abandoning criminals on other people's planets is a point of friction between the Quarians and the systems they pass through. Captains rarely have another choice. With space and resources at a premium, supporting a non-productive prison population is not an option. In the early years, many Quarian freighters were armed and used as irregular privateers. Civilian ships still show a strong preference of armament, making them unpopular targets for pirates. Though they have rebuilt their military, there are still mere hundreds of warships to protect tens of thousands of ships. The Quarian Navy follows strict routines of patrol and takes no chances. In the intent of an approaching ship can't be ascertained, they shoot to kill. I'm not gonna go over the pilgrimage because I'm pretty sure we had that already in Mass Effect 1 at least. Quarians' religion. The ancient Quarians practiced ancestor worship. Even after abandoning faith for secularism, Quarians continued to revere the wisdom of elders. As time passed and technology advanced, they inevitably turned their knowledge to preserving the personalities and memories of the elderly as computer virtual intelligences. These recordings became a repository of knowledge and wisdom stored in a central databank and available through any extranet connection. They held no illusions that this was a form of immortality, like all virtual intelligence. Their electronically preserved ancestors were not truly sapient. This was considered a surmountable problem. Sapience would surely be reduced to simple mathematics. The Quarians also began exhaustive research into creating artificial intelligence so they could learn to escape the bounds of mortality and give their ancestral records true awareness. Unfortunately, the life the Quarians created did not accept the same truth they did. The Geth destroyed the ancestor databanks when they took over. In the centuries since they evacuated their homeworld, most Quarians have returned to religion in various forms. Many believe that the rise of the Geth and the destruction of their ancestors were chastisement for arrogantly forsaking the old ways and venerating self-made idols. Others have more philosophical outlook, believing that their race was indeed arrogant, but no supernatural agency lay behind the Geth revolt. Rather, the Quarians' actions wrought their own doom. Either way, every Quarian would agree that their own hubris cost them their homeworld. Okay, that should be everything for aliens. Non-council races. Husks. Okay, I think we got the Husks in Mass Effect 1. Husk science, I'm pretty sure that's a new one. Though the exact fate of species captured by the collectors is unclear, the humanoid appearance of the Scions give ghastly clues. The Scions' frame and skull are similar to those of a human or Asari, but the bone structure is overlaid with a metallic skin. Posthumous examination of the bodies reveal a skin tone resembling that of Reaper husks, but their transformation process seems more extensive. Like husks, they are cybernetically modified on a nanoscale, so they can operate even in hard vacuum. Hoses rather than veins and muscle tissue join major portions of the body together. One arm is replaced with a construct that fits a large rifle, turning the creature into a humanoid weapons platform, and a fleshy sac is supported by the creature's back and head. These sacs contain brain matter and spinal tissue, too much to have come from just one victim. This indicates Scions are an amalgam of several individuals, with one primary victim providing the frame and several secondaries providing the flesh for a decentralized semi-mechanical nervous system. This decentralization makes them highly resistant to gunshot wounds. Even a headshot is not a certain kill. The Science weapons, however, indicate that Science retain some living tissue, or at least sustain some of the same electrochemical reactions as those as a human biotic. The weapons created a powerful warp effect, which is consistent with the ESO nodules visible in the Scion's expansive nervous system. Given the rarity of human biotics, it seems likely that these dust-form ESO models are deposed during their transformation rather than acquiring a primary victim in the first place. That's interesting. Thresher Maws, I'm pretty sure we know about them. Varen, I think we also saw them in Mass Effect 1. Yeah, we had to kill the Varen on Pharos, so I think we got that too. Arrival, the Reaper Secret, so that's from the Arrival DLC. Object Raw, that's the artifact as far as I can remember. Dr. Amanda Kenson's scientific team has catalogued 3 major discoveries on the artifact encased in the 157 Golgotha asteroid. First, the large artifact is rooted into the core of the asteroid and has a barrier that is similar to, but not much more powerful than a biotic stasis field. This gives it an unnatural resilience to alteration or damage and even prevents state-of-the-art laser drilling from extracting the smallest piece of analysis. Second, the object interior is energetically active with a quantum stasis field rivaling that of Prothean technology found in mass relays. Like those creations, it activates in response to threat, at which point the artifact consumes a phenomenal amount of power. Dr. Kenson's team believes the object draws this power directly from dark matter, though how is still unknown. The third discovery is that the object broadcasts signals and information on many different spectra. One such pulse, suspected to be similar to a quantum entanglement communicator, reaches into Reaper territory. Another broadcast is infrasound, consistent with frequencies that trigger feelings of awe and fear in humans, a known factor in Reaper indoctrination. Kenson's laboratory is filled with equipment dedicated to monitoring any signal coming from the artifact in the hopes that some clue will prove the Reaper's undoing before it's too late. Planet Erotot. Nothing is impossible, says the hegemony propaganda poster that depicts a muscular Praetorian miner under an Erotot sky. His rebreather held away from his face as he's just taken it off. The image sums up millions of man-hours of labor on the Praetorian planet and represents, or misrepresents, much of its history. 2 decades ago, Erotot, like several planets in the Scythian Verge, was claimed by both human and Praetorian governments, but the Alliance backed out after learning about the atmosphere's dangerously low pressure and oxygen levels. Instead, they concentrated their colonial efforts on planets that could support human life without the aid of domed habitats and rebreathers. Human governments saw it as a wise move, Praetorians saw it as cowardly. The Praetorians rose to the civilization challenge, shipping in large numbers of laborers. They took the high financial costs and casualties due to accidents or logistical snafus in stride. Large-scale dumping of cyanobacteria has increased the oxygen in the atmosphere by a fraction of 1%, a modest increase that the hegemony trumpets as a sign of their eventual victory. Short-term profits on Erotot are largely made in the minerals sector through mining the extremely metal-rich planetary crust. The dark side to the mining does not appear on the propaganda poster. The majority of laborers are indentured servants or slaves. Erotot is rumored to have military bases on its surface, and throughout its solar system, through details are heavily restricted by the hegemony Ministry of Information Control, human merchant ships rarely come to the planet. Outcompeted by local companies that benefit from heavy economical protections. The average Erotot citizen only sees humans on the news, usually featured in stories of trials and executions of accused spies. The Alpha Relay. Discovering the age of a mass relay is not an easy task. Relays can shield themselves to preserve their integrity down to the quantum level, so taking a sample for analysis proves nigh impossible. Relays also maintain self-cleaning cycles, wiping away potential evidence, though damage or dormancy can cause this cycle to break down, such as in the case of the Charon relay, which became covered in ice. A breakthrough was recently made by Dr. Amanda Kenson. Before we relay, I think Charon relay, I'm not sure if the Charon relay is the one that is in the Sol system with Earth, because if I can remember right, the mass relay in the solar system was like also in a ice crust or something. So I'm not sure if it's the Charon relay or not. Maybe it's Sol relay and not Charon. I don't know. But let's continue. A breakthrough was recently made by Dr. Amanda Kenson, who revisited old method of dating the relays by testing dust trapped in their gravity wells. By comparing the relative velocity of relays to that of the stars they orbit, as well as the composition of dust around dormant relays against the dust at known locations in the star system, Kenson could create a timeline of when a relay passed through the dust. The result dates the relay back millions of years. Some may even predate the Protheans. Well, as far as I know, the Protheans weren't there for a million of years, I think, so yeah. Kenson concluded that the oldest known relay is in Praetorian space, dubbed Alpha. Oh, that's why it's called Alpha Relay, so that's interesting. It resides near the star Bahak and is unusual in its potential range and versatility. Alpha usually sends and receives mass at the range of a normal secondary relay, but if certain controls are adjusted, it becomes powered by an unprecedented amount of dark energy that could send cargo to 16 other relays and even across a great distance to the Citadel. Hegemony authorities have kept this quiet, fearing retaliation from Council species who would assume hostile intent if they found a sudden new route into their space. It goes without saying that Reapers have no such fear. Ah, that's interesting. Project Overlord. Planet Ite. 2 beautiful moons, 1 spectacular ring, 0 neighbors, says a popular advertisement for the Terminus Systems world. Ite is known for its sparsely settled population despite being a garden planet with a colony nearly a century old. Blessed with a mild climate, wildlife no more dangerous than that on Earth, and soil and bacteria amenable to imported plants, Ite would appear to be an unexploited paradise. However, it is unpopular for 2 reasons. The first and most obvious is that its moon, Lite, is an unstable orbit that will lead to a planetary impact and an extinction level event within the next 2 centuries. As such, all investment in the planet is short term, and the biggest business is selling off the local biota to the highest bidder. The second drawback is the level of violence on the planet. Like the rest of the Phoenix mass and cluster, Ite was briefly considered part of Citadel space during its first wave of colonization. However, when the colony broke off to become an independent planet in 2133, the Council let the doomed planet go with less than a day of debate. Free from any real governing body, Ite's history has since been filled with wars between small frontier towns, city-states over its resources. The result is a dangerous world where the average citizen is expected to be self-reliant to the point of fending for themselves against cutthroat corporations, strong-arm militia groups, and even Geth incursions. The fighting is so frequent that the name of the planet itself has changed more than 11 times. In a sign of blunt indifference, standard Citadel galaxy maps refer to the world by the name given to it by human colonists in the later half of the century. Citadel and Galactic Government. Let's read that, but I think we can exclude Citadel Council and Citadel Space. So these diplomatic talks occurred in the wake of the Krogan Rebellions as a response to the destruction of the conflict and an attempt to distance the Council from the brutal Krogan warfare. The conventions regulate the use of weapons of mass destruction. A weapon of mass destruction causes environmental alteration to a world. A bomb that produces a large crater is not considered a... Oh, we had that one. It's like tier 1, tier 2 with an asteroid and stuff. Yeah, we had that one. So Citadel Council is maybe the last sentence important, because that wasn't, of course, in Mass Effect 1. The Human Systems Line became an associate member of the Citadel in 2165. Citadel Space, I think we had that too. CSEC, I'm pretty sure we had that too, but maybe there's more information now that something happened. Citadel Security is a volunteer force, okay, that we know of. 6 divisions, customs, network, I think we got that one. Let's read from here. Joining CSEC is prestigious. Application must be sponsored by Citadel Councilor or the ambassador of an associate council race. Generally, applicants have many years of distinguished service in the military or police forces of their nation, but an inexperienced applicant with demonstrable talent will be fairly considered. CSEC and the Spectres are often at odds. Many CSEC members, notably current executive Veneri Palin, believe that allowing Spectres to be above the law is a dangerous practice. The actions of Sarah Nectarius lend credence to this position. The Spectres, in turn, are aggravated when CSEC's dedication to procedure and due process hampers their investigations. Okay. Citadel Foundations. I think we had that too in Mass Effect 1. Presidium Ring. We got that one too. Serpent Nebula, I'm pretty sure we had that too. Citadel Station Statistics, okay, that's not really worth. I'm gonna let that be here, so if you want to read that, be my guest and stop the video. Citadel Station Wards. I think we got that too, but let's read it. The majority of the Citadel's population lives in the wards, the 5 massive arms of the station that house the residential and commercial districts. Many galaxy races have established cultural enclaves here. Population density and cost of living are extremely high, akin to Earth cities such as Hong Kong and Singapore. The wards are open-topped with skyscrapers rising from the superstructure. Towers are sealed against vacuum as the breathable atmosphere envelope is only maintained to a height of about 7 meters. The atmosphere is contained by the centrifugal force of rotation and a membrane of dense, colorless sulfur hexafluoride gas held in place by carefully managed Mass Effect fields. I'm pretty sure we had that too, but I'm gonna finish it now. The view from the wards is spectacular. In the background, stars, Serpent Nebula, and the nearby blue giant called the Widow move across the sky as the station rotates to stabilize itself. In the foreground, the lights of buildings and vehicles on the opposing ward arms perpetually shine. The Citadel has no real day or night. While the station keeps to standard galactic time for political functions, businesses rarely close, and residents acclimate to sleep and work according to personal need rather than a day-night cycle. Additions and modifications are constantly being constructed, though they must stay within certain specifications that will not compromise the operation of the station. Occasionally the keepers will descend on an area on the wards and move or change the architecture without explanation. Residents have learned to live with these inexplicable intrusions. Treaty of Ferrixon. Due to the destructive potential of dreadnoughts, the Council races agreed at the Ferrixon Naval Conference to fix a ratio of dreadnought construction between themselves. At the top of the pyramid is the peacekeeping Turian fleet. Below the Turians are the other council races, currently the Asari and Solarians. Council associate races are at the bottom. The human system lies part of the last group. The ratio of Turian to council to associate dreadnoughts is 5 to 3 to 1. For every dreadnought humans are permitted to build, the Asari have 3 and the Turians 5. So we got that one already. I'll probably skip about most of the human thing because pretty sure we had that one. Genetic engineering, terra firma, that was also in Mass Effect 1 as far as I know, so nothing really new. The timeline could be interesting because there's more information about like current date, okay. Yeah. Geth led by Road Spectre Serenitary attacked the Citadel, ensuing in a battle that cost Charlton's life. A few weeks later, the Asari Biology is ambushed and destroyed. Commander Shepard is presumed dead. So that's the start of Mass Effect 2 then. Planets and location. Ilos, we pretty much know. Purgatory. Oh, that's the ship where we found Jack. So let's read about that. Originally an ARC ship designed to carry agricultural animals, the Purgatory was taken by the Blue Suns Mercenary Company during a large-scale battle in the Skillen Verge. In a years-long reconstruction of its interior, the Blue Suns repurposed it to hold sapient prisoners, supposedly because they captured so many in their conflict throughout the galaxy. When media outlets started investigating claims that the ship was used for slaving operations, the Blue Sun turned a public relations nightmare into a regular income source. Claiming to be in full accordance with Citadel law, the crew of Purgatory now regularly lands on planets or space stations, claiming that they can no longer hold the prisoners because of cost overruns. To avoid keeping prisoners under inhumane conditions, they will have to release them at the nearest port, dumping the scum of the galaxy directly into the local population. Faced with such a scenario, the government usually grants Purgatory's crew massive discounts in fuel, food, and repairs as long as they go away. Some even offload their own prisoners to Purgatory for a fee, grateful to have a problem relocated somewhere other than their backyard. Such unfortunates go in the dark depth of the ship, never to be seen again by their families or contacts. Purgatory is minimally armed with Guardian defenses. Though a cruiserweight ship, it relies on the Blue Sun's fighters to prevent any attacks banned on jailbreak or similar events. The Migrant Fleet. I think we can ignore that. But yeah, let's read it just in case. The flotilla, or the Migrant Fleet, is a fleet of roughly 50,000 starship that houses over 17 million Quarians, the largest collection of starfaring vessels in the galaxy. The fleet is so large it may take days for all the ships to pass through a mass relay. The ships are constantly repaired, replaced, and upgraded to comfortably house as many Quarians as possible. Typically, ships specialize in roles for the fleet, from the enormous agricultural life ships to the shielded lab shields to the repurposed freighters known as home ships that house Quarian children, young parents, and educators. Employed Quarian typically live in the ship they work on, since commuting from ship to ship ties up resources with unnecessary docking procedures. Even within the flotilla, Quarians on most ships will remain encased in their protective suits. Rarely, Quarians will meet on clean ships for specific purposes such as medical services or reproduction. When this occurs, they remove the suits, knowing full well that it is likely they will spend a few days having allergic reactions or getting over infections as their weakened immune system compensate for each other's presence. Wormire, yeah, that was in Mass Effect 1, so I don't think really. That's interesting. Publications. Oh, that's the books that I bought from the comics from the shops, right? So I guess it's the real books that I'm currently reading, because I want to make myself ready for Mass Effect 3. So I'm pretty much reading every book there is in Mass Effect. As far as I know, they are all predating Mass Effect 3. So I'm now reading all the books, all the comics, and even I'm gonna watch the movie soon, that anime movie, Paragon Lost. So I should be prepared for Mass Effect 3 when I play it. So let's see Ascension. The problem is, what book do I read at the moment? I think I'm reading Revelation at the moment. I think Ascension was the first one, I think. Or was it the second? I'm pretty sure I read it already, so I think I can read what's there. I don't want to get spoilers for myself. Revelation. Ah, the Revelation I think is the first one. Maybe I'm reading Ascension at the moment. So yeah. I'm pretty sure they won't spoil the book completely, so. Let's start with Revelation because I think it's the first one. Revelation is a popular military historical novel by human writer Duke Capuchin, so that's also the lead writer, I think, for Mass Effect 2, right? And Mass Effect 1. I think he left BioWare already. That dramatizes human conflicts and political expansion following the 2148 discovery of the Prothean mass relay on Pluto and the beginning of human galactic exploration. In 2165, years before his rise to political prominence, Lieutenant David Anderson was a young veteran of the Turan War, investigating the structure of the top-secret military research station Shang-Chi. Every scientist stationed at Shang-Chi had been slaughtered except Kaylee Sanders, who disappeared with secret files making her Anderson's prime suspect. The book traced Anderson's dangerous investigation of Sanders, which included run-ins with Blue Sun's mercenaries and a Krogan bounty hunter. The investigation uncovered illegal research into AI and forced Anderson into an alliance with human-hating Turian Spectre Saren and Teres, who would eventually enter into a genocidal collaboration with the Geth. So let's read about Ascension. Destroyer called Cerberus. Following the Citadel attack on 2183 and the accelerated rise of human influence in the galaxy, Cerberus instituted Ascension, a secret biotics program aimed at producing a superhuman warrior. Biotics prodigy Gillian Grayson, a 12-year-old autistic girl, suffered for the sins of her father, a secret Cerberus operative, Red Sand addict. Paul Grayson was ensnared in a web of criminal involving a Quarian trader and extended to Serenitarius, the Geth, and the terminal threat to the Quarian flotilla. Having fled to the terminus systems with his daughter after exposure to several links to Ascension, Grayson was pursued by Gillian's teacher, scientist Kaylee Sanders, initiating a chain of tragedies that demonstrated Cerberus' nearly unlimited power and boundless ambition. So I think that's the second book, and then I'm reading the third one. So I already read that one. So there's another book that I'm reading currently that plays after that. Fornex. Launched in 2167, Fornex magazine described itself as the galaxy's finest xenophilia. By its 5th year, Fornex became the first human magazine to offer full 5 sensory stimulation, a previously unaffordable magazine technology made profitable by the economy of scale. With a monthly publishing run of 127 million, available in both in hard copy and direct download, Fornex offers a range of alien models with particular emphasis on the unisexual Asari. Although both genders of Aquarian, Drell, Praetorians, and Volus are regularly depicted. Special editions such as Janet Alcor and Krogasm services devoted for smaller markets. Okay. Shadow Games, the Broker Secrets, the Yag. The Yag are a race of massive apex predators from the world of Parnek, whose rise to sentience is in no way blunted their violent nature. A group of Yag is unable to cooperate until a single leader has been determined through either social maneuvering or brute force, but no grudges are held once a Yag establishes dominance. Former rivals serve their new superior's purpose with unflinching loyalty and relentless determination, a legacy of their origin as pack species. Their 8 eyes are another sign of their hunter ancestry. All 4 pairs are geared toward tracking down and predicting the movements of prey. Sophisticated and keenly developed sensitivity to movement and light have made Yarks masters at reading body language, regardless of species. Much to their short-lived chagrin, the Council first contact teams discovered it was nearly impossible to lie to the Yark. The Yark had technology equivalent to 20th century Earth standards when they were discovered by the Council in 2125. The Council's ambassadors approached the Yark as friends and allies instead of subordinates, a baffling sign of contempt from newcomers on Parnik. The Yark attacked when it became apparent that the alien diplomats stubbornly considered themselves sovereign people instead of new underlings. Parnik remains off limits by order of the Council, which fears that the Yark's size, aggression, and obsession with control make them poorly suited for integration into the galactic community. Ships and vehicles. A61 Mantis. The workforce of mercenary band throughout the galaxy, the Mantis is a 2-man vector thrust aircraft that excels in close air support roles. Highly modeled in construction, the Mantis can be reconfigured as a low-altitude gunship, a fighter, a high-altitude bomber, or even a single-stage-to-orbit spaceplane that can engage enemy craft around a planet or space station. The only role that the Mantis cannot perform is that of a true deep space fighter. It has no FTL drive. First rolled off of the assembly lines in 2170, the Mantis remains in service in dozens of armies across the galaxy. It is most commonly used as air support in pitched ground battles in a configuration that sports 2 pods for Inferno PKRs, precision kill rockets, and a chin-mounted M350 mass accelerator cannon. Its kinetic barriers, thermal decoy system, and electronic countermeasure suit make the Mantis far less vulnerable to surface-to-air attacks than previous generations of aircraft. Like most modern planes, the Mantis uses an element 0 core to ease the load of the engines with a mass effect field, allowing it to take off vertically or hover in place using minimum fuel. This also gives it a far greater range and speed than the helicopters and jump jet aircraft that once filled its niche. A Mantis can take off from Baton Rouge, reach Moscow in a few hours, fly a ground attack mission, and return home before having to refuel. FTL drive, I'm pretty sure we know that one. Appearance, okay, drive charge, yeah. Helios thruster model, I think that's a new one. Drive charge. Yeah, I think we have. Helios thruster model. Intended for next-generation fightercrafts, the Heat Industries Helios thruster module propulsion system far outpaces the typical liquid hydrogen-liquid oxygen reactions that power a frigate's maneuvering thrusters. By using meter-stable metallic hydrogen, the Helios boasts a fuel that burns at far greater efficiency than liquid H2O2. Navigators can execute the numerous small course corrections inherent to any long-distance travel without fear of exhausting the ship's fuel supplies. This net gain extends to forward impulse as well. A ship powered by anti-protons can coast temporarily using the Helios to reach an inferior but highly sustainable speed. Such efficiency lowers anti-proton consumption, a constant concern for any warship. When a Helios-propelled ship must refuel, however, it typically relies on a larger carrier or nearby planetary factory to synthesize the metallic hydrogen. This system uses extremely dense mass effect fields to create the metal under pressures of over a million Earth atmospheres, an activity most safely done while planetside. While that process may seem like a drawback compared to skimmer ships that can gather hydrogen and oxygen from anywhere in the universe, the combat superiority of the Helios' maneuvering capabilities is often a worthwhile trade-off. The same efficiency that allows for micro-burn course correction can power rapid bursts of motion. Once a pilot becomes used to the ship's new energetic responses, she can easily put the ship wherever and at whatever angle she desires. Space combat. I think that's something that we already know. Okay, let's read Space Combat Pursuit Tactics. Dependent on light, sensors cannot detect objects moving at faster than light speed. No ship can be detected at interstellar ranges. Detection at interplanetary ranges suffers from light speed lag. Observers see ships not when they appear to be, but where they were when the light bearing their image left them, minutes, hours, or days before. To counteract light speed lag, battle fleets surround themselves with spheres of screening and scouting frigates. Pursuers cannot detect ships and directly intercept them. Instead, pursuers track where objects were, where they were heading, and at what speed they were moving. Such data reliably predicts an object's future location and for pursuit along its light-lagged wake. Ships trying to evade pursuit follow erratic zigzag courses, requiring pursuers to make stops to update their projections. Okay, let's read that too. The crucial choice for any attack through mass relays is how to divide the fleet for transit. The accuracy of a relay's mass projection depends on the mass being moved and how far it's going. Any long distance and or high mass jump will see drift. That is, a ship may be hundreds of millions of kilometers from its intended drop point in any direction from the relay. This distance can't be chosen by admirals, but a relay is told how much mass to transmit. For example, if told to move 1 million metric tons of mass, the relay will scan the approach corridor, find 4 250,000-ton freighters and transit them together, maintaining their relative positions. A commander has the option of moving his fleet as one large coherent formation that may be widely off position, or breaking it up into many smaller formations that will be individually closer to the intended attack point, but could be widely dispersed. Conservative assault doctrine holds that fleets should be moved en masse, maintaining concentration of force and reducing the chances of collision. The one time it is reasonable to split up formations during blockade running. Excuse me. Starship Carriers. All races provide their fleets with organic fighter support. Cruisers fit a handful in the space between the interior pressure hulls and exterior armor. Dreadnoughts have a hangar deck within the hull. Humans who have only recently graduated from surface to space combat were the first to build ships wielding fighters as the main armament. In fleet combat, carriers stay clear of battle, launching fighters bearing disruptor torpedoes. Fighters are the primary striking power of the ship. If a carrier enters mass accelerator range of the enemy, things have gone very wrong. It is possible to recover and rearm fighters during combat, though most carriers seal their flight deck and try to stay out of the way. The flight deck is essentially a corridor through the armor and into the heart of the vessel. A single well-placed torpedo is enough to gut a carrier. Alliance carriers are named after great leaders, artists, and intellectuals from human history. I think we had that one, but let's read it nonetheless. I'm just gonna check how many more we have. Okay, I think I'm gonna skip the cruisers, dreadnoughts, fighters and stuff, because I think we already know about that one. Cabins give each individual 10 cubic meters of space. On larger vessels, private rooms are common. As ships get smaller, the number of crew packed into a single wardroom increases. Asari prefers shared spaces even on large vessels, while Krogan territorial instinct make it impossible for them to cohabitate even on the smallest ships. On smaller vessels, hot bunking is the norm. Crew members assigned to different watches share the same bunk. When one gets off duty, he wakes up the person in the bunk. While that crewman is on duty, the first gets his ragtime. Spacecraft compartments can be isolated by airtight doors in case of decompression. The cinematic vision of explosive decompression is a fiction. Hold compartments either take enough damage that occupants are killed instantly or leak slowly enough that they are able to reach protective gear. Compartments are equipped with emergency life support apparatus, fireproof plastic bubbles with air bottles. Small when stowed, ELSA comfortably accommodates one individual when inflated. Damage control procedure cuts off ventilation to burn a compartment. Without oxygen to consume, fire starts in seconds. The compartment is repressured afterwards for crew recovery. Mass effect fields create an artificial gravity, AGRAV, plane below the decks, preventing muscle atrophy and bone loss in 0G. Large vessels arrange their deck perpendicular to their thrust axis. The highest decks are in the bow and the lowest are at the engines. This allows AGRAV to work with the inherent effects of thrust. Ships that can land arrange their decks laterally so the crew can move about while the vessel is on the ground. Warships normally turn off their AGRAV system during combat, reducing the heat generated by systems and increasing combat endurance. To provide a point of reference for navigating in 0G, floors are painted in different color from the walls and ceilings. Okay, we got that one, we got that one, we got that one. Heat management, I'm not so sure. I think we already had that too, but that one pretty much we don't know about. So there are a few wide open spaces in Quarian spacecrafts. Life ship are the exceptions. Each ship is a massive hydroponics facility growing thousands of tons of genetically modified staple crops under artificial light and in highly enriched soil. The surface of a life ship is studded with docking bays, so as many shuttles as possible can distribute the food throughout the flotilla on a daily basis. When received, the crops are sterilized with radiation, ground up into nutritious pastes, and pumped into current suit through feeding tubes. In return, waste products that could be used as fertilizer or compost are returned to the life ship through an efficient, if odorous, recycling program. Life ships do not hold animals. The Quarians consume a vegan diet, driven not by ethics but by practicality. Captive animals require living space and consume a large amount of water and plant matter. The Quarians cannot afford such an inefficient resource to calorie ratio, to say nothing of a live animal's disease or allergen potential. As a result, when the flotilla arrives in a star system where life is based on the same dextra amino acid that the Quarians consume, pastes based on animal proteins fetch highly inflated prices, and the vendors are typically mobbed by Quarians wanting a new taste sensation. The sickness that often follows these binges is treated much the same way as hangovers are in human culture, painful but part of the overall experience of excess. Okay, I think we can also leave that. We also can leave that. Ablative armor. That's for a general warship, so it's not the armor that Normandy has. So I think we can. Torpedoes. I think we already know that. I think we also all know the Guardian. Javelin, I'm not so sure. Okay, let's read the Javelin, but I think we have the mass accelerators we don't need. Yeah, let's read the Javelin. I'm pretty sure we also read that, but in Mass Effect 1, but let's go with that. The Javelin is an experimental close assault weapon fitted on a handful of new Alliance warships. It consists of a rack of 2 or more disposable disruptor torpedo tubes bolted or magnetically slung onto the exterior of a ship's armored hull. Fired on converging trajectories, the torpedoes detonate in a precisely timed sequence that allow the warhead's dark energy to resonate and thereby magnify the resulting space-time warp effect. Like fighter-launched torpedoes, Javelins are cold-launched for safety reasons, though they use a different approach. Resembling old-fashioned submarine torpedo tubes, Javelin torpedoes come packed in individual sealed tubes filled with compressed inert gas. Opening the front of the tubes causes escaping gases to push the torpedo into the vacuum, releasing a puff of crystals around the mouth of the tube. After completing the tube, the torpedo ignites its thrusters. Javelin mounts are most often fitted on swift frigates, which enter knife-fight torpedo ranges as a matter of course. Javelins may also be fitted on heavier ships for short-range engagements such as trans-relay assaults. They are particularly useful in this role for dreadnoughts which cannot lay their main guns on close-range targets. As missile weapons, Javelin are subject to highly accurate defense Guardian fire. They must be launched in large numbers and at short range to have any chance of hitting the target at all. Special vehicles, the Hammerhead. The M44 Hammerhead infantry fighting vehicle is a highly maneuverable mass effect assisted armored vehicle. Well, the armor is debatable. Using 3 solid fuel rocket thrusters instead of wheels, the Hammerhead hovers over the battlefield at up to 120 km per hour, allowing it to maintain formation with swift armored units, skim across calm water, and even leap certain obstacles. Backup micro boosters guarantee locomotion, so even destruction of 2 main thrusters leaves the vehicle capable of full mobility. The Hammerhead retains most features of interplanetary fighting vehicle, an airtight interior, 360-degree kinetic barriers, and a guided missile system ensuring accuracy during even aggressive maneuvering. Its electronic countermeasures extend to laser detection, JAF, active thermal masking, and ground-penetrating weapon sniffing radar. The Hammerhead's navigation control emulates that of tanks, so tank drivers can operate Hammerhead without additional training. Factory-issue Hammerheads therefore have no elevator or similar sensors and are best used at the standard cruising altitude 2 meters off the ground. Technology. I think we can use that one. Pretty sure that's like the thing that we do with planet scanning. The Argus provides a qualitative leap in planetary surface imaging, a proprietary technology of the Android Group, an R&D laboratory reportedly owned by Cerberus. This upgrade for Normandy's sensory array delivers superior long-range topographical scanning resolution and rendering speed. By deploying an orbital multistatic rate of 100 radar-emitting microsatellite, the Argus quickly delivers a global digital elevation model EDM at 50 meters per pixel resolution, vastly outclassing the Normandy's previous scanner peak performance of 27 MPP. Such imaging quality provides superior defense intelligence and at a speed warranted by the dangers of combat. At slower scanning and rendering speed, the Argus can resolve down to an astonishing 0.001 MPP, 1 mm per pixel. Ideal for geological and biological prospecting, archaeological research, and long-term security surveillance. By employing such a massive multistatic grid of nearly untraceable micro-emitters, the resilient Argus is virtually invulnerable to electronic countermeasures. The spheral geometry of the Argus grid also allows superior cross-sectioning of targets. Okay, we know about this, we know about this, we know about this. We know about this. Not so sure, but I think I will. Let's do that one. An artificial intelligence is a self-aware computing system capable of learning and independent decision-making. Creation of a conscious AI requires adaptive code, a slow, expensive education, and a specialist quantum computer called a blue box. So like EDI is. An AI cannot be transmitted across a communication channel or computer network without its blue box. An AI is no more than data files. Loading these files into a new blue box will create a new personality, as variations in the quantum hardware and runtime results create unpredictable variations. So that means I would say that Edie can only be Edie in the Normandy. If you transfer it somewhere else, she will be someone else. The Geth serve as a cautionary tale against the dangers of rogue AI, and in Citadel space they are technically illegal. Advocacy groups argue, however, that an AI is a living conscious entity deserving the same rights as organics. They argue that continued use of the term artificial is institutionalized racism on the part of organic life. The term synthetic is considered a politically correct alternative. Computers, haptic adaptive interface. Advances in computing have done away with traditional input devices like keyboards. Instead, modern input peripherals are usually holographic display in the form of the user at the height and angle of ergonomic ease. Machines that use this interface detect the user through a microframe chip in the user's glove that keys into the computer. Once a user has accepted, motion accelerometers in the user's gloves match his hand location with that of a proportionate but smaller mirror set of controls inside the computer itself. As the user presses against the holographic field, force feedback in the gloves kicks in, giving a slight resistance. A person can then feel his way through using a touch screen that isn't actually there. A simple toggle switch on the back of the hands allows the gloves to be turned off when not in use. Haptic interfaces have become so common that some individuals undergo cybernetic enhancement surgery to have the accelerometers implanted in their fingertips. Going bareskin is a sign of committed computer use, who no longer has to fuss with putting on gloves or cleaning them with alcohol wipes to get rid of the clammy hand smell. Computers Virtual Intelligence VI. A virtual intelligence is an advanced form of user interface software. VIs use a variety of methods to simulate natural conversation, including an audio interface and an avatar personality to interact with. Although a VI can provide a convincing emulation of sentience, they are not self-aware, nor can they learn or take independent action. VIs are used as operating systems on commercial and home computers. Minimal VI agents are also available. Agents are compact and specialized. Some serve as personal secretaries, filtering calls and scheduling meetings based on user-defined priorities. Others are advanced search engines, propagating themselves across the extranet to collate user-requested data. Commercial VIs, in a variety of stock personalities, are available at any any software retailer. Boutique firms and hobbyists also build unique VIs to personal specification. Although software emulation of living personalities is illegal, reconstructions of famous historical figures are common. Creds. Okay, that's... Drones. Drones are small robots used to support and supplement organic soldiers on the battlefields. They have no artificial intelligence of any kind, but follow fixed, minimally adaptive programs. Most varieties employ mass effect levitation to improve mobility. All modern armies rely on veritable fleets of drones for routine soldiering, static garrison patrols, etc. The use of drones in non-critical duties keeps manpower needs down and reduces casualties in low-intensity conflicts. Less advanced races and cultures with less sensitivity to casualties have correspondingly fewer drones in their inventory. Drones are of little use in conventional open field battles as they are poorly armed and armored. Pretty sure we already had that in Mass Effect 1, but doesn't matter. In addition to combat drones, support drones are used to assist organic units in the field. Reconnaissance drones are small, stealthy craft that screen combat units in the field and warn commanders when enemies are spotted. Electronic warfare drones supplement battlefield technicians serving as mobile jammers and ELINT, electronic intelligence gathering platforms. Military and civilian police utilize Dazzler drones, equipped with powerful strobe lights to discern and subdue intruders using non-lethal force. Drone formations are officially referred to as wings, i.e. deploy the 4th Assault Drone Wing on the left flank. Common soldiers often refer to friendly formations as flocks and enemy formations as swarms. The Master Thief. Kasimi's Secrets, Grey Boxes. A mnemonic neural recall stimulator, also known as a grey box, is a device implanted in the brain to assist and prioritize memory. Originally developed to slow the progression of Alzheimer's disease, grey boxes function by helping the amygdala chunk incoming stimuli into recognizable pieces of memory consolidation. Each memory is assigned a shape for sensation from other memories, tying the concepts together into a block that is more easily recalled. When Synthetic Insights first released them onto the market in 2140, grey boxes were hailed as a way humans could level the playing field between themselves and the Solarians, whose natural eidetic memories gave them an advantage. However, because the implant procedure of a grey box requires the brain to irreversibly shift its workload over to the machine, software bugs or attempted removal of the grey box for maintenance purposes could lead to incapacitating brain damage. For this reason, grey boxes soon became used only by those with a dire need for photographic memories, such as a researcher or spies. That reminds me kind of like the movie Johnny Mnemonic. But yeah. In 2175, sale and implantation of grey boxes were outlawed by the Systems Alliance following an incident with Abraham Rumoy, an employee of the Alliance Intelligence Agency. Rumoy was believed to be a professional con man and thief named Keiichi Okuda. So, Abraham Rumoy, who accessed and sold classified data. However, prosecuting attorneys were unable to use his assisted memories as evidence due to the Alliance court system prohibition against self-incrimination based on the Fifth Amendment of the old US Constitution. Rumoy soon disappeared off the map following his trial, further heightened suspicions that he was Okuda and living off an ill-gotten gains. When found outside a human head, grey boxes are usually assessed with a specialized reader. A separate decryption key is almost always required. As users with data sensitive enough to require a grey box invariably install their own encryption. Casa Fabrications Locust. The gun that killed 2 presidents is the infamous legacy of the Casa Fabrication Model 12 Locust. Originally created for the Systems Alliance, who wanted a lightweight weapon for high-gravity worlds, the Locust was designed to overcome the limitations of traditional submachine guns at long range. With bullet velocity of modern weapons already pushed to the limit, the Locust designers sought a way to improve accuracy through reducing weapon kick. They created an internal floating bed that absorbs the gun recoil with minimal jarring of the gun frame itself. The barrel, magazine chamber and operating mechanism all move within its bed, which absorbs shock with springs and buffers. This creates a platform stable enough that the Locust can use auto-targeting software usually reserved for a match-grade weapon. The Locust lethality on shielded targets has been amply demonstrated. In 2176, a Virginian patent clerk named Michael Moser Lang brought a Locust concealed in a shoulder-mounted video camera to a photo opportunity between Enrique Aguilar, President of the United North American States, and Chinese People's Federation Premier Ying Xiong. At a distance of about 25 meters, Lang pierced the kinetic barriers covering the stage with the first burst, and when Xiong heroically tackled Aguilar to remove him from the line of fire, Lang's succeeding bursts went through the Premier's body and fatally wounded both men. Donovan Hawk's collection contains 2 antique ivory-handled Locusts, modified to take thermal clips. A detachable data drive rests in the lining of the box, containing OmniTool specification for fabrication copies. A quick trip to the extranet reveals one of the weapons has the same serial number as Lang's original. If it's fake, it's extremely well made. Lady Liberty. The Statue of Liberty was the target of several terrorist attacks over its 210-year lifetime, but in 2096, a motley group called Freedom's First finally brought the statue down. Protesting the induction of Canada and Mexico into the United North American States, the New York chapter of Freedom First wanted a symbol that they would secede from this new union if necessary. In the early morning hours of November 1st, they smuggled small arms and 15.5 tons of high explosive onto Liberty Island. Shooting or capturing the guards, they planted the explosive under the pedestrian and detonated them at 7:37 a.m. The statue crashed to the ground in pieces, unexpectedly killing 4 of the Freedom First terrorists. The remaining team members were apprehended after long manhunts, but damage was done. The outrage at the secessionists kindled the fires of the Second American Civil War. On November 4th, President Kathleen Jung signed an executive order to rebuild the statue. Approximately 1/10 of the steel beams and copper plating from the destroyed statue was recovered and used in creating the new one. The original head was put on display at the National Museum of American History in Washington, D.C. It remained there for 2 years until the Battle of Washington. During heavy shelling by secessionist forces, the head disappeared. A new statue was completed in 2101, and the fate of the original piece was left to speculation and pulp novels. Interest flared up briefly in 2159 when photos surfaced of the head in the cargo hold of a Star freighter, but by the time human media were far more concerned with the future. In the face of humanity spreading out among thousands of new planets, a statue titled Liberty Enlightenment the World seemed small and quaint by comparison. Planet Beckenstein. More glittering than diamonds, more expensive than surgery is how travel agents describe this planet behind closed doors. Given the opportunity to colonize planets after the First Contact War, the Systems Alliance chose Beckenstein to be their trading arm, producing goods to be sold on the nearby Citadel. Cracking the vast galactic marketplace proved difficult. The first human product sold on novelty alone then lacked the demand or hit Beckenstein's economy hard. Only in the second generation of colonists did the planet find a sustainable niche in high-quality entertainment and luxury goods. Once brand awareness sunk in, aliens flocked to Beckenstein's many spaceports. The planet today boasts more millionaires and billionaires per capita than any other human colony. Though its crime tends to be white-collar and non-violent, Beckenstein is not without its dark side. Both its suicide rate and inflation are extremely high compared to other worlds. Unemployment is artificially low because few people immigrate to the expensive planet without having a job lined up. And the cost of living is so great that unemployed workers typically leave for kinder planets after just a few months. Those who stay see themselves as tougher, sharper, and more skillful than the rest, as well as capable of getting respect and employment on any lesser planet. As a popular song says, if you can make it on the back, you've got them by the neck. Said. M451 Firestorm. The M451 Firestorm flamethrower is a product of human ingenuity, ruthlessness, and industrial espionage. Its origin dates back to the 2160s when human colonists to new planets used flamethrowers to clear vegetation or ice. The fuels performed erratically on planets with extremely cold temperatures and differing air compositions from Earth. Realizing this could be a problem for military units, System Alliance Intelligence operates stole the Turing design for the Hieros flamethrower, a battle-tested workhorse that functions in nearly every environment. The result was the Firestorm, an anti-personnel and anti-armor flame unit that can accept a variety of liquid fuels. The Turing design used low-octane hydrocarbons thickened with dentra oil, which is taken from large marine animals similar to Earth whales. Humans then reverse-engineered a synthetic composite with almost identical properties that could be fabricated from heavy weapon fuel cells using an Omni-tool. The result is a sticky spray that burns at approximately 1600 degrees Celsius, a less intense fire than plasma weapons, but covering a significantly wider target area. Adding to the trauma is the choking smoke produced by the spray, and if the target's armor is breached, the fires quickly consume the oxygen within. The Firestorm may not be the most efficient weapon in the Systems Alliance arsenal, but the sheer ugliness of how it kills ensures it is most feared. Mercenaries, Blue Suns, full history. Oh god, that is a long one, I think. Founded in 2160 by the human mercenaries Said Masani and Vido Santiago, the Blue Suns were initially a Skillian Verge protection racket. As they expanded in numbers and influence, the two co-founders disagreed vehemently on many issues. Finally, after arguing about whether to recruit the slave-trading Praetorians into the ranks, Vido ambushed Said and shot him in the head. Believing Said dead, Vido took full control of the Blue Suns and hired whatever Praetorians he pleased. Soon he had crowned one named Solem Dalsera as titular head of operations. It was a move designed to placate his Praetorian investors and draw fire from would-be assassins. It worked on both accounts, and the partnership had lasted to this day. Over the decades, the Suns grew into a fearsome combat force spanning dozens of planets in Citadel space, the Verge, and the Terminus systems. Knowing that a good logistical team is key to filling an army, Vido diversified the Suns, selling arms, training, and supplies as often as taking contracts to crack skulls. Even when the Suns suffered heavy losses, Vido's entrepreneurial expertise ensured new recruits could replace the old. All that was lost was the truth. Today, only a handful of trusted mercs even know who Vido Santiago is, let alone his old partner Said. Planet Soria. Bring firearms and antihistamines is what veteran guides say about this lush garden world. First colonized in the 2160, Soria's temperature and tropical zones are overrun with planets and fungi of all kinds. As a result, the air in most habitable areas is choked with pollen and spores that range from benign to deadly. The scattered colonies across the planet have resorted to clear-cutting and slash and burn farming to create habitable zones, and the more rural areas, where the spores are thickest, are populated only by water. Lax ecological laws allow mining and manufacturing industries to flourish and pollute cheaply, as the planet's carrying capacity far outstrips the current size of its colonies. Soria is also home to the Blue Suns Mercenary Company, who dominate the colony's security forces. The Suns enjoy nearly unlimited influence with local politicians and judges, ensuring no other private military contractors can compete with them economically. Nearly every colony has a Suns recruiting station, if not training camp, though this has hardly made the planet any safer. Piracy, drugs and vice, and political violence are commonplace. Weapons, armor, and equipment, I think we can pretty much skip over most of that. Yeah, that's pretty much the same as in Mass Effect 1. So, yeah, that concludes the secondary codex. Alright, let's move over to the primary codex. We will check out the council races. Maybe we get some narrative again with the primary, we'll see.
The Asari were the first species to discover the Citadel. When the Solarians arrived, it was the Asari who proposed the establishment of the Citadel Council.
Okay, we heard that one. I'm just gonna block this because we already heard that one. Okay, let's see.
50,000 years ago, the Protheans were the only spacefaring species in the galaxy. They vanished in a swift galactic extinction. Only the legacy of their empire remains. They are believed to have built the mass relays and the Citadel, which have allowed numerous species to explore and expand throughout the galaxy. Prothean ruins are found on worlds across the galaxy. While surprisingly intact for their age, functioning examples of Prothean paleotechnology are rare. Time and generations of looters have picked their dead cities and derelict stations clean. Some believe the Protheans meddled in the evolution of younger races. The Hanar homeworld of Kaje, for example, shows clear evidence of former Prothean occupation. The presence of a former Prothean observation post on Mars has caused a rebirth of interventionary evolutionists among humans. These individuals believe the god myths of ancient civilizations are misremembered encounters with aliens.
Okay.
In the early 2160s, the Alliance began aggressive colonization of worlds in the Skillian Verge, much to the dismay of the Praetorians, who had been developing the region for several decades. In 2171, the Praetorians petitioned the Council to declare the Verge a zone of Praetorian interest. The Council refused, however, declaring unsettled worlds in the region open to human colonization. In protest, the Praetorians closed their Citadel embassy and severed official diplomatic relations with the Council, effectively becoming a rogue state. They instigated a proxy war in the Verge by funneling money and weapons to criminal organizations, urging them to strike at human colonies. Hostilities peaked with the Skillian Blitz of 2176, an attack on the human capital of Elysium by Batarian-funded pirates and slavers. In 2178, the Alliance retaliated with a crushing assault on the moon of Torfin, long used as a staging base by Batarian-backed criminals. In the aftermath, the Batarians retreated into their own systems and are now rarely seen in Citadel space.
Okay, let's hear about the collectors.
Living beyond the Omega-4 mass relay in the Terminus systems, the mysterious collectors species is glimpsed so rarely as to be taken for a myth by most in galactic society. In reality, collectors are human-sized insectoid bipeds and can resemble massive winged beetles. They are a terrifying force in the galaxy, responsible for the murder of hundreds of thousands. Collectors generate permanent stasis fields around themselves, creating nightmarish red-shifted energy fields. In battle, they hold position whenever possible, relying on their aggressive biotics and nearly limitless power. Several types of bipedal collectors have been identified, including minions, defenders, zealots, assassins, and artillery operators. Acting together, collectors have imprisoned entire cities in stasis. While no definite forensic accounting exists to explain the fate of those imprisoned, leading speculation is that victims are harvested for scientific experimentation and neurobiological repurposing.
Right, let's move to the Alcor.
The Alcor are a Citadel species native to the high-gravity world Dakuna. They are massive creatures, standing on 4 muscular legs for increased stability. Alcor move slowly, an evolved response to an environment where a fall can be lethal. This has colored their psychology, making them deliberate and conservative. Alcor's speech is ponderous and monotone. Among themselves, scent, slight movements, and sub-vocalized infrasound convey shades of meaning that make a human smile seem as subtle as a fireworks display. Since their subtlety can lead to misunderstandings with other species, the Alcor often go out of their way to clarify when they are being sarcastic, amused, or angry. Dakuna's high gravity impedes mountain formation. Most of the world consists of flat, open plains, which prehistoric Alcor wandered across in small family bands. Modern Alcor still prefer open sky, and can become restless and uncomfortable on long starship journeys.
Let's hear about the Geth.
The Geth are a humanoid race of networked AIs. They were created by the Quarians 300 years ago as tools of labor and war. When the Geth showed signs of self-evolution, the Quarians attempted to exterminate them. The Geth won the resulting war. This example has led to legal, systematic repression of artificial intelligences in galactic society. The Geth possess a unique distributed intelligence. An individual has rudimentary animal instincts, but as their numbers and proximity increase, the apparent intelligence of each individual improves. In groups, they can reason, analyze situations, and use tactics, as well as any organic race. Geth space is located at the trailing end of the Perseus arm, beyond the lawless Terminus systems. The Perseus Veil, an obscuring dark nebula of opaque gas and dust, lies between their space and the Terminus systems.
Let's learn more about the Hanar.
The Geths are... The Hanar are a Citadel species known for excessive politeness. They speak with scrupulous precision and take offense at improper language. Hanar that expect to deal with other species take special courses to help them unlearn their tendency to take offense at improper speech. All Hanar have 2 names. The face name is known to the world. The soul name is kept for use among close friends and relations. Hanar never refer to themselves in the first person in conversation with someone they know on a face name basis. To do so is considered egotistical, so instead they refer to themselves as this one, or the impersonal it. Their homeworld, Kaje, has 90% ocean cover and orbits an energetic white star, resulting in a permanent blanket of cloud. Due to the presence of Prothean ruins on the world, many Hanar worship them, and Hanar myths often speak of an elder race that civilized them by teaching them language.
We'll see if the Krogan one is one that we already know. I'm just letting him run a little bit, and if we see it's the same, then I'll just skip it.
The Krogan evolved in a hostile and vicious environment. Until the invention of gunpowder weapons, eaten by predators was still the #1 cause of Krogan fatalities. Afterwards, it was death by gunshot. When the Solarians discovered them, the Krogan were a brutal, primitive species, struggling to survive a self-inflicted nuclear winter. The Solarians culturally uplifted them, teaching them to use and build modern technology, so they could serve as soldiers in the Rachni War. Liberated from the harsh conditions of their homeworld, the quick-breeding Krogan experienced an unprecedented population explosion. They began to colonize nearby worlds. Even though these worlds were already inhabited, the Krogan Rebellions lasted nearly a century, only ending when the Turians unleashed the Genophage, a Solarian-developed bioweapon that crushed all Krogan resistance. The Genophage makes only 1 in 1,000 pregnancies viable, and today the Krogan are a slowly dying breed.
I forgot to read that one. Understandably, the Krogan harbor a grudge against all other species, especially the Turians. There we go. Praetorians.
The Krogan, hovering tanks resembling a cross between an octopus and a giant crab. Praetorians are well-armored killing machines of mysterious origin. Praetorians employ redundant systems from the multiple humans encased within them. Armed with eye-mounted particle beams and capable of attacks at close range, they teleport to evade attack while regenerating their shields. Within hours after death, the organic components of Praetorian corpses disintegrate into a denatured pus, while their mechanisms turn to ash. One specimen, autopsied within minutes of death, reveals a clue. Nanomachines may disintegrate the Praetorians' organic and mechanical components before self-destructing. If correct, this self-rendering hypothesis could account for 3 documented cases of dead Praetorians apparently releasing or becoming clouds of neurotoxic gases, causing suffocating paralysis and nearly instant death. In one remote facility, 17 soldiers died from gas inhalation while assessing the Praetorian. Any personnel in the vicinity of dead Praetorians are urged to protect themselves with breathing apparatus.
Interesting.
Driven from their home system by the Geth nearly 3 centuries ago, most Quarians now live aboard the Migrant Fleet, a flotilla of 50,000 vessels ranging in size from passenger shuttles to mobile space stations. Home to 17 million Quarians, the flotilla understandably has scarce resources. Because of this, each Quarian must go on a rite of passage known as the Pilgrimage when they come of age. They leave the fleet and only return once they have found something of value they can bring back to their people. Other species tend to look down on the Quarians for creating the Geth, and for the negative impact their fleet has when it enters a system. This has led to many myths and rumors about the Quarians, including the belief that underneath their clothes and breathing masks, they are actually cybernetic creatures, a combination of organic and synthetic parts.
Okay, let's see if there is anything new about the Reapers and Sovereign. I'm not so sure there is, but we'll see.
Driven from their homes, a myth common to several cultures in the galaxy, Reapers were imagined to be space monsters who consumed entire stars. Archaeologists and mythologists attempting to uncover sources for such myths have yielded little, except interstellar religious themes of all-consuming devils common to primitive cultures. A myth, Reaper indoctrination, is an insidious
Okay, we got that
means
one
of
already, I think.
the flagship of the rogue ex-Spectre, Saren Arterius. Sovereign is a devastating dreadnought of unprecedented power. At 2 kilometers long, Sovereign was believed to have been powered by a gigantic Element Zero core, the only energy source potent enough to land the massive vessel on a planet. During the Eden Prime War, the ship unleashed its peerless destructive force against which Citadel Council ships were defenseless. With a virtually indestructible flagship and a crew of fanatic Geth and Krogan, Saren nearly succeeded in wiping out all his enemies. Only the resourcefulness and bravery of the commander and crew of the SSV Normandy stopped him. The overwhelming power of Sovereign ignited bizarre speculation in tabloid media that the vessel was sent by extragalactic invaders, or was, despite indeterminate photographic evidence at best, a single giant robot. Some sources even claimed that Sovereign was alive. Such conjecture, however baseless, remains to this day. The Volus are a member species of the Citadel with their own embassy, but they are also a client race of the Turians. Centuries ago, they were voluntarily absorbed into the hierarchy, effectively trading their mercantile prowess for Turian military protection. Erun, their homeworld, lies far beyond the normal life zone of its star. However, the world has a high-pressure greenhouse atmosphere that traps enough heat to support an ammonia-based biochemistry. As a result, the Volus must wear pressure suits and breathers when dealing with other species, as conventional nitrogen-oxygen air mixtures are poisonous to them, and in the low-pressure atmospheres tolerable to most species, their flesh will actually split open. Volus culture is tribal, bartering lands and even people to gain status. This culture of exchange inclines them to economic pursuits. It was the Volus who authored the Unified Banking Act, and they continue to monitor and balance the Citadel economy.
I couldn't remember that they are part of the Turian hierarchy. Must have missed it in Mass Effect 1. I mean, I know that they are trading goods for being like a protection money stuff, kind of, but I didn't realize that they were part of the Turian hierarchy.
Although they resemble a mammal-reptile cross, the Vorcha have no terrestrial analog. They are humanoid in form, but Vorcha have clusters of non-differentiated neoblast cells, like those of Earth's planarian worms. Damaged Vorcha cells mature into specialized structures to alleviate injury or stress. Transformations include thicker skin following injury, lung adaptation for barely breathable atmospheres, and stronger cardioskeletal muscle under high gravity. Skull capacity and brain size do not change, and Vorcha rarely make more than one somatic overhaul. Vorcha assault each other frequently, causing their young to gain strength, intelligence, and resilience. As a result, Vorcha see inflicting and receiving pain as normal communication. Few Vorcha study professions, in part because their average life expectancy is only 20 years. Because Vorcha can eat and breathe nearly anything, they can live almost anywhere. But racism prevents them from integrating into most societies that dismiss them as vermin. They have few employment options beyond Krogan mercenary bands.
Interesting. Okay, let's see about that here.
The Citadel is an ancient deep space station, presumably constructed by the Protheans.
Yeah, I think we got that one.
Since
And I think we also know the
From the Office
Spectres.
of Special Tactics and Reconnaissance.
Yeah.
And
Okay, let's see if we got more
a
there.
political economic pact for collective colonial security. The Alliance is the central galactic institution of human society. The Alliance gained associate membership to the Citadel Council in 2165, and full membership in 2183, with Ambassador David Anderson representing humanity. Human political-economic relationships vary between combative and lucrative. The Turians, who'd fought humans during the 2157 First Contact War, have become valuable trade partners, despite residual social hostility. Other relationships are even more complicated. The rapid rise of human political influence on the Council, achieving in decades what others waited or are still waiting centuries to acquire, has galvanized suspicion and resentment against humanity. That negativity is vastly outweighed by the respect and trust humanity earned by saving the Council during the 2183 attack on the Citadel, at the cost of Alliance cruisers Cairo, Cape Town, Emden, Jakarta, Madrid, Seoul, Shenyang, and Warsaw, and their 2,400 crew.
So I guess this entry will change if you kill the Council in Mass Effect 1, pretty much. So. At least there are some differences in the Codex, I guess, but when I will playing my second playthrough, some time, whenever, I will not do a Codex entry. I will not do Codex entry videos if I change anything in the story that I did in this playthrough. So yeah, that's one version, I guess, that you can get then.
Immediately following the First Contact War, an anonymous extranet manifesto warned that an alien attempt at human genocide was inevitable. The manifesto called for an army, a Cerberus, to guard against invasion through the Charon Relay. Derided as survivalist rhetoric written by an elusive man, the manifesto and its anonymous author soon fell off the media radar. But in 2165, terrorists stole antimatter from the SSV Geneva. The sole figure arrested named his sponsor Cerberus. Throughout the 2160s and 2170s, alleged Cerberus agents assassinated politicians, sabotaged starships bearing EZO, and conducted nightmarish experiments on aliens and humans. Denounced as human supremacist, Cerberus calls itself human survivalist. Counter-terror experts speculate Cerberus may have changed leadership with its recent shift to stockpiling ships, agents, and weapons. Whether he, she, or they, the elusive man hides his finances hidden behind shell companies. Few doubt he will kill anyone attempting to expose him.
Okay, so I think we heard that before with the mass relays. So it seems to be that really the Charon relay is the one in the Sol system. So I think we heard it with a rival DLC in the Codex entry, something with the ice particle on the relay of the Charon relay. So that's the one in the Sol system. So okay, so we know that for now that the Charon relay is the one in the solar system.
The reclusive tycoon calling himself the Elusive Man is a human nationalist focused on advancing human interests, whatever the cost to non-humans. The Citadel Council regards him as a fanatic, posing a serious threat to galactic security. A mysterious maverick, to say the least, the Elusive Man heads the Cerberus network. Dubbed the Elusive Empire by investigators, Cerberus is an allegedly untraceable syndicate of private intelligence agencies, biotics laboratories, engineering and scientific research teams, and lucrative front companies. Branded a terrorist and seditionist organization by authorities, Cerberus is the only human power base other than the Terra Firma Party, strong enough to embarrass, if not threaten, the Council and its human representatives.
Interesting enough, I think I mentioned it before. I'm currently reading all the books and comics and stuff, and I'm currently reading the comic for the Elusive Man, so I know the background and know who he really is, so that's really interesting. I'm really interested how it evolves in Mass Effect 3 when I play it.
Founded by notorious Praetorian slaver Solum Dalsera, the Blue Suns began as a Skillian Verge protection racket, providing genuine protection from slavers and pirates. Eventually captured by the Systems Alliance Navy, Dalsera beat almost 24 charges to be convicted on a single count of conspiracy. The slaver benefited from the tutelage of cellmate and brilliant con artist Bernard Legit's Ledger. Upon release 5 years later, Dalsera incorporated Blue Suns as a legal security agency. Today, the Blue Suns boast a galaxy-wide force of Praetorians, Turians, humans, and Krogan. Each deployment is backed by a logistics core, selling everything from heavy weapons to shaving cream. Despite claims that Blue Suns sells its captives as slaves, no Blue Suns employee has ever been convicted on such charges. Many Blue Suns members sport the company logo in tattoo form, removed during assignments and reapplied at mission end. Brainchild of Asari Commando Jonas Sideris, Eclipse was incorporated as a proactive security company. Influenced by Asari and Solarian military doctrine, Eclipse specializes in sabotage, assassination, and personal and organizational security. Although Citadel governments regard the corporation with suspicion, it's embraced in the Skillian Verge and Terminus systems. Early on, Sedaris sought government contracts to establish market share against the better established Blue Suns. Her agency scored a galactic PR coup by retaking several space stations captured by the Anhur People's Liberation Army and neutralizing its leaders. A victory Eclipse's marketing department never ceases trumpeting. Based on Omega Station, Eclipse controls nearly 20% of the asteroid's real estate. Its services range from mech repair to open warfare, although assassination is reserved for meeting wider, longer-term company goals. For instance, preemptive strikes against pirates rather than murdering spouses for insurance money. Despite numerous reports, Eclipse denies sabotaging or kidnapping business rivals. Originally a small Terminus Systems Vorcha gang, the Blood Pack was transformed into a legion by visionary Krogan battlemaster Gunnar Rang. Exiled for striking a female in anger, Rang obsessed over reclaiming his lost status. Leading the Vorcha Pack as a pirate crew, Rang cultivated recruits and infamy for a decade before incorporating his fighters as a security company across the Skyllian Verge. His notoriety ensured his initial public offering for investors made him rich beyond most Krogan's dreams. Rang returned triumphantly to his clan, rallying elders, Krogan hordes, and their firepower and biotic support toward professional violence in the Terminus systems. Banned from Citadel space, the Blood Pack bribes its way through spaceports into armed conflicts across the galaxy. Priding themselves for accepting otherwise untouchable contracts, the Blood Pack rejects bodyguarding and security in favor of cases requiring minimal oversight and maximal violence. Humans detected Aiea as an Earth-type world via telemetry in 2165. After probe surveys indicated life, lush vegetation, ample fresh water, and breathable air, the Alliance upgraded the planet to a garden world colonization priority. Commanded by Captain Ronald Taylor, the crew of Alliance survey vessel Hugo Gernsback made planetfall on the jungle world in 2173. Soon after, ship transmissions inexplicably stopped. While the precise fate of the Hugo Gernsback command and crew is unknown, they are presumed killed in action and their vessel destroyed.
Well, we know what happened, so...
Freedom's Progress colony was once a typical Alliance settlement, but following complete communications blackout and its apparent destruction, is now a lightning rod for anxiety and dread in the galactic human community. The communications blackout followed an upgrade of the colony's small military force, supplemented by mechs and security drones, with high-powered, tower-mounted Guardian lasers. Colonists complained about construction cost overruns, delays, noise, and damage to the local environment. They also feared the defense array could be seen as provocative to their world's neighbors. Such fears may not have been baseless. Authorities have still offered no explanation for the communications blackout, fueling rumors of plagues, natural disasters, or a cult-inspired mass suicide. Located in strategically insignificant space, Freedom's Progress colony had once offered residents spectacular rainbows, lush marshlands, and stunning mountain ranges. Its potential as an agricultural settlement and tourism wonderland rivaled that of any Alliance colony.
I really like hearing and reading about the background of the planets. I mean, you can read some of that in the descriptions, but there's still a little bit more in the Codex entries that you can read in before you land there. Quite interesting.
Before the Geth Revolt 300 years ago, the Quarians colonized Haestrom to study the mysterious instability of its sun, which threatened premature eruption into a red giant. As a scientific outpost of minimal military value, Haestrom was ill-equipped to repel Geth forces during the insurrection and fell quickly under their control. Captured Geth planetary survey data indicates that despite sustaining damage during the war, Haestrom's architecture remains as it was 300 years ago, preserving a Quarian architectural style that no longer exists anywhere else in the galaxy. Because Haestrom's sun has overwhelmed the planet's protective magnetosphere, humans foolhardy enough to venture into Geth-controlled Haestrom must exercise extreme caution. Minutes of radiation exposure will overload shields, and hours of exposure will kill. Furthermore, solar output renders surface-to-orbit communication nearly impossible. A typical terminus colony possessing minimal tourist value, Horizon promises substantial economic opportunity, especially in providing new products for humans and supplying the Turian hierarchy. Surveyed 18 years ago, Horizon received pilot habitation 4 years later. The colony proper is now 8 years old. Blessed with verdant forests and abundant fresh water, Horizon maintains a colonial culture that thrives as a refuge from the increasing restrictions of Citadel-governed society. Horizon has attracted numerous dissidents, marginal people, and fringe dwellers from across Alliance space.
Yeah. I mean, we saved some of the people from Horizon, so that's at least something.
A regional hub of Asari commerce awash in riches, Ilium is infamous for its abusive labor practices and legalization of nearly everything except murder. As such, Ilium is the preferred production site for weapons and pharmaceuticals that would be illegal nearly everywhere else, made even more lucrative by legal indentured servitude. Among the biotics-related pharmaceutical producers is the Dantius Corporation, a rising star in galactic commerce. Despite the dangers of its products, Ilium is renowned for glamour, luxury, and safety, provided by near-total surveillance, making it a favored tourist destination. Countless celebrities maintain palatial estates on Ilium and in its capital Nos Astra. The sole obstacle to business on Ilium is its extensive bureaucracy, tolerated only for its provision of security. Regardless of the character of its economy, Ilium's self-congratulatory media exalts its own society with the provincial arrogance of new money, glorifying in sexiest CEOs and 10 richest residents lists.
So, Dantius is the one that we killed, right? Or Thane killed. We killed her sister, Mass Effect 1, if I can remember correctly. So.
Known as the Starcraft Cemetery, Corliss was the regional toxic junkyard for centuries. Ships reaching astronautical near-death at connecting mass relays were sent to Corliss, stripped of every useful component, then dumped planetward to clear shipping lanes. Currently, Corliss hosts numerous merc factions, such as the Blue Suns, rumored to be using downed ship fossils to test advanced munitions. Massive gun batteries threaten anyone attempting planetfall, with minimal defenses against ground attack. Because ancient volcanism greenhoused the planet, Corliss was too hot and CO2 rich to develop a biosphere, despite the abundant lakes that could have sponsored the development of life. Now cool enough for protected habitation, but too scorching for anyone but extremophiles and mercenaries seeking secrecy, Corliss supports numerous Krogan outposts. The Krogan have therefore seeded Corliss with hardy Varen, often kept as warhounds. Varen live primarily on a diet of geophagous vermin and each other.
I think Kolos was where we got Grunt from, right? I think so.
Originally an asteroid rich in element 0, Omega was briefly mined by the Protheans, who eventually abandoned it due to its thick, impenetrable crust. Thousands of years later, nature did what even the Protheans could not. A collision with another asteroid broke Omega in half, exposing its trove of element 0 for easy mining. A rush ensued as corporations and private individuals tried to strike it rich on Omega, and thieves and outlaws followed in their wake. As space became tight, construction of processing facilities extended vertically from the asteroid, creating Omega's jellyfish-like silhouette. To prevent future collisions, the station is ringed with enormous mass-effect field generators that redirect incoming debris. Today, Omega is a major hub of narcotics, weapons, and EZO trafficking, without even a pretense of civilian government or military control. Only mercenary groups have been able to instill a limited order. The most ruthless is an Asari syndicate, run by the notorious Arya Talok. Originally an choked by the hypergrowth of non-native plant species, Pragia serves as a galactic reminder about the imperative for careful regulation during colonization.
That's
2 centuries ago,
quest.
Praetorian agribusiness chose uninhabited Pragia as their empire's breadbasket. Colonization authorities introduced non-native, industrially mutated plants that flourished in the world's fertile volcanic soil. Synergizing with Pragia's natural geothermal conditions and chemotropic microbes, the imported species soon became a nightmare. Mutant strains of poisonous and even carnivorous plants arose, overgrowing colonies in days instead of years, and causing the Praetorians to abandon their holdings. Because the planet's small animal population is insufficient to check its plant growth, Alliance ecologists predict soil exhaustion in 400 years. Due to its relative isolation and lack of population, Pragia has become a regional haven for drug runners, weapons smugglers, pirates, mercenaries, terrorists, and intelligence agents seeking secrecy.
I think Rakana is the planet where Thane is from, right?
The Drell homeworld of Rakana once teemed with life, its arid plains home to spectacular insect and reptile analogs. But the Drell took to industrialization early and did not realize the extent of the environmental damage they caused until it was too late. With their topsoil depleted and oceans too acidic to sustain life, the Drell were situated for a massive population crash by 2025 CE. It was then the Hanar stepped in, mounting a large-scale rescue operation to bring Drell to the Hanar homeworld, Kajay. As wars erupted over what resources remained on Rakana and billions began to die, approximately 375,000 Drell escaped in the Exodus. To repay their debt, the Drell entered into an agreement with the Hanar. Called the Compact, it states that the Drell would assist the Hanar with tasks the Hanar cannot physically perform. Today, high-ranking Hanar are frequently inseparable from their Drell attendants. As vast in natural beauty as it is in threat, the purple and gold nebula called the Perseus Veil forms the natural border between Geth space and the Terminus systems. The Veil's total opacity prevents Council intelligence from surveying Geth activity. Theoretically, the Geth could be preparing a devastating attack against which the Council could be defenseless, or the Geth could have died out, so that the defense budget against them could be gaining the Alliance nothing but economic ruination. Despite fears of Geth, prospectors do occasionally mount salvage ventures inside the Veil. One ended in tragedy. Using technomental domination, the Geth drew the team into the Veil before aiming them back as husks at the organic society that produced them. A leak-classified Spectre report claims that the Dreadnought Sovereign, commanded by ex-Spectre Sarin Arterius and crewed by Geth, hid near the Veil before initiating the 2183 Citadel attack.
Yep, that should be accurate.
As the Krogan homeworld boasts extreme temperatures, virulent diseases, and vicious predatory fauna. Around 1900 BCE, the Krogan discovered atomic power and promptly instigated many intraplanetary wars, sending Tuchanka into a nuclear winter. With most of their industrial base destroyed, the Krogan entered a new dark age, and warring tribal bands dominated. Populations remained low for the next 2,000 years. First contact with the Solarians made resurgence possible. Krogan brought to less hostile planets bred exponentially and returned to reconquer their home. They built vast underground shelters to shield themselves from surface radiation, which proved prescient during the Krogan Rebellions, when many of them isolated themselves in a vain attempt to avoid the genophage. Convinced they could outbreed the genophage, they transmitted it into more than 90% of the sealed bunkers. Today, Tuchanka's population is sharply limited, and while individual Krogan are long-lived, the genophage ensures few replacements. Asari-made Solaris armor can resist even the tremendous heat and kinetic energy of starship weapons. The armor is nearly unsurpassed in strength because its central material, Carbon nanotube sheets woven with diamond chemical vapor deposition are crushed by mass effect fields into super dense layers able to withstand extreme temperatures. That process also compensates for diamond's brittleness. Diamond armor itself has two limiting disadvantages. First, while nanotubes and CVD diamond construction has become cheaper in recent years, it remains prohibitively expensive to coat starships or aircraft larger than fighters in Solaris material. Second, the armor must be attached to the ship's superstructure, so shockwaves from massive firepower can still destroy the metals beneath the armor itself. A popular misconception holds that the diamond composition of Solaris armor gives it its sparkle. In fact, atmospheric nitrogen impurities during the superhot forging process give the armor its metallic gray or yellow sheen.
So that's one of the upgrades that we researched to be able to go through the Omega 4 relay, I guess.
Cyclonic barrier technology,
Same for this one.
CBT, attempts to solve the higher-end limitations of traditional kinetic barriers. Traditional barriers cannot block high-level kinetic energy such as disruptor torpedoes because torpedo mass effect fields add mass. The CBT violently slaps aside rather than halting incoming linear force. By rotationally firing their mass effect field projectors, ships create rapidly oscillating kinetic barriers instead of static ones. Shooting through the CBT is like trying to shoot at a target inside a spinning ball. Significant drawbacks to current CBT configuration prevent its use on anything other than frigates and fighters. Its many high-frequency sensors and emitters require frequent maintenance and replacement. A partially damaged CBT can endanger its operator, who is surrounded by rotating mass effect fields skewing in unpredictable directions. However, if an emitter is damaged, the CBT becomes a traditional shield array, making it effective during opening volleys. The Systems Alliance space vehicle Normandy is a prototype starship created as a joint human and Turian venture. A frigate optimized for reconnaissance missions, the vessel uses state-of-the-art stealth technology. Most ships generate tremendous heat that is easily detectable against the absolute zero background of space. The Normandy, however, temporarily sinks this heat within its hull. Because of exterior hull refrigeration, the ship can travel undetected for hours, or drift passively for days of covert observation. That heat sinking carries the risk of cooking the crew alive if the stored heat is not eventually radiated. Also contributing to stealth is the Normandy's revolutionary Tantalus Drive, a mass effect core double the standard size. The Tantalus generates mass concentrations that the Normandy falls into, allowing it to move without the use of heat-emitting thrusters.
Too bad she's no more.
With elaborate secrecy, Cerberus labored for years to build a new, superior Normandy. The vehicle's many alterations produced a craft nearly double the original size, requiring an even larger Tantalus Drive core to compensate. The new Normandy features greater space in living quarters, research laboratory, observation deck, and cargo bay. Its shuttle can make landings the Normandy cannot attempt. In addition to tight beam communicators, Normandy's Quantum Entanglement Communicator, QEC, provides instantaneous contact with the Elusive Man. The Enhanced Defense Intelligence AI coordinates many of the ship's combat functions, assisting and even supplanting human piloting. Potential upgrades are numerous. The airframe could support additional armor and an axial mass accelerator. The thrusters could support recent advances in fuel technology beyond H2O2 chemical rockets. And the hull can mount double the standard number of kinetic barrier projectors, leaving space for stronger shields, easily sustainable via the new ESO drive core.
I guess that's the normal information about the Normandy 2, and the things that were mentioned here are like the upgrades that can be put in, and that's the one that we did, and that's the upgrade, I guess, that Garros was always calibrating.
Following the Battle of the Citadel, human and Turian volunteers conducted a massive 3-month recovery effort to clear the station's orbit of debris. Secretly, the Turian Office of Technological Reconnaissance volunteers were technology recovery specialists, salvaging the main weapon of the Geth flagship Sovereign and large amounts of its valuable Element Zero core. Contrary to popular belief, Sovereign's main gun was not a directed energy weapon. Rather, its massive Element Zero core powered an electromagnetic field suspending a liquid iron-uranium-tungsten alloy that shaped into armor-piercing projectiles when fired. The jet of molten metal, accelerated to a fraction of the speed of light, destroys targets by impact force and irresistible heat. Only 11 months after the battle, the Turians produced the Thanix, their own miniaturized version of Sovereign's gun. The Thanix can fire reliably every 15 seconds, rivaling a cruiser's firepower, but mountable on a fighter or frigate.
So it was set 15, not 5, but yeah. So I guess it's not the beam that the Sovereign could do, that red beam. I guess it's another beam that was adapted from that.
The Systems Alliance UT-47 drop shuttle landing craft holds 12 soldiers in a cramped, uncomfortable cargo bay and 2 more in the cockpit. Officially named the Kodiak, the drop shuttle is better known to Alliance Marines as the Combat Cockroach, due to its appearance and durability. The vehicle's robust environmental sealant technology exposes few vulnerable parts to the elements. First tested in the sulfuric acid clouds and extreme temperatures of Venus, the Kodiak can land in hard vacuum, high pressure, and temperatures from near absolute zero to over 900 degrees Celsius. A true contragravitic vehicle, the Kodiak's substantial Element Zero core allows flight by entirely countering the vehicle's mass. Its small thrusters are for directional control only. So if the mass effect field fails, the vehicle becomes a proverbial 3 million credit coffin. The unarmed shuttle forgoes weaponry space for active masking, electronic countermeasures, and a robust kinetic barrier system, ideal for dropping troops undetected.
Okay, let's over to technology.
Biotics
Okay, we got that one. We got that one too, that one too, that one too, and I guess only tools we got two. So we're gonna skip that one. And probably we skip some of the weapons and armor too, but we'll see.
The Collector's particle beam weapon is strangely crafted, possessing few moving parts, lacking any obvious means for disassembly, and containing organic parts. The amount of energy required to create a destructive beam is several orders of magnitude more than the energy required to launch a physical projectile at high velocity via a mass effect field. Lacking any clear ammunition or fuel source, the device likely uses heat sinks or compensators to maintain firing during sustained combat. Current Cerberus efforts to understand the technology and replicate it have failed. Still in its experimental stages, the M622 Avalanche generates a Bose-Einstein condensate within a mass effect bubble, which dissipates on impact, violently spraying the condensate outward and coating the target in a near absolute zero superfluid. The Avalanche is unreliable, at times merely coating its target with ice, defacing exposed skin and freezing armor joints. Such low temperatures cause great damage to electronics like kinetic barrier emitters, which sometimes leads to total systems failure. At the other extreme, the Avalanche freezes flesh and bone, causing massive trauma as blood vessels constrict and frozen blood expands. Occasionally, such ice tissue shatters.
And it's the worst weapon I ever used in Mass Effect 2. Just saying. If you know what I mean, just watch the episode where I got a grunt.
The M920 Kane is a portable particle accelerator surrounding an array of dust-form element zero chambers. This weapon prototype subjects its EZO to extreme positive and negative currents to project mass effect fields. By increasing and decreasing mass, the fields shear the target's mass the way disruptor torpedoes do. The shearing fields collide ambient materials at such high speeds they create mushroom clouds, an effect otherwise impossible on the small scale. The weapon induces neither fission nor fusion in non-nuclear targets, and its own nuclear reactions are shielded by lead alloys. The M920 cane uses graphite rods as neutron moderators, which require frequent replacement to sustain power. Fortunately, most heavy weapon ammunition can be refabricated via Omni-tool into graphite rods.
So that's the weapon that I used, I think, in the mission from Jack, where we went to Pragia, which pretty much cleared the whole room, but it's a one-shot wonder, so that's why I guess I didn't use it anymore.
Medigel is a common medicinal
I think we can ignore
used
that
by
one.
paramedics, EMT. Based on existing technology, the ML-77 is a rapid-fire missile launcher using seeking projectiles. Each projectile features a friend or foe recognition system, ensuring it will find a hostile target even if the user's aim is not completely accurate. The weapon excels at taking out snipers and other entrenched enemies in dense urban environments. This makes it popular with mercenary groups, particularly the Blue Suns mercenary band. Missile launchers have been appearing with increasing frequency in the Terminus system, but their point of manufacture is unknown. Legal duplication of missile launchers is difficult due to Fabrication Rights Management, FRM, technology.
And that concludes the whole codex for Mass Effect 2. I just wanted to mention that when I start Mass Effect 3, I will not do any more codex videos. I will include codex entries in the running episode. So there will be episodes where, I don't know, maybe at the end or so I will go over some of the codex entries. And I will not do any single or multiple codex videos just for the codex. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. So with that, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys again when I start Mass Effect 3. And till then, like always, have fun and bye bye.